Every Thursday morning, my trash can got crushed. Not by accident, not by the garbage truck, but by the very woman who was supposed to protect this neighborhood. The president of our HOA, the gatekeeper of the cul-de-sac, was using her car bumper like a weapon. And the morning she hit the wrong trash can, the entire neighborhood finally saw her for who she really was. Act 1. The conflict begins. When I moved to Plano, Texas with my wife Erica and our 2 kids, I thought we'd found the dream spot. Quiet streets, kids riding bikes, neighbors giving polite waves. It felt safe, almost perfect. But then there was Marlene Driscoll, HOA president, the self-appointed queen of our block. From day one, she made it clear my family was under her microscope. She started small. She didn't like the shade of paint on my shutters. Not technically against the rules, she said, standing in my yard with her clipboard, but it doesn't exactly complement the tone of the neighborhood. Next came a notice about my kids leaving their basketball near the curb. Then another about a rocking chair on my porch. Not architecturally harmonious, she sniffed. A wooden rocking chair, for crying out loud. At first I laughed it off, but it wasn't funny anymore when my trash can started showing up on its side every Thursday morning, dented, scraped, sometimes shoved halfway into the street. And it didn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out why. I caught the faint tire marks, saw her silver sedan backing out at the exact same time each week. She didn't even hide it. My neighbor Peter gave me a sympathetic shrug. She doesn't even try to hide it, man. When I finally asked her about it, Marlene just smirked. Maybe the wind knocked it over. Or maybe you should buy sturdier bins. I stood there staring at the fresh scrape across the plastic, knowing exactly what happened. Even my 8-year-old son Jonah asked me, "Dad, why is that lady always mean to us?" That question hurt more than the dent in the trash can, because I didn't have an answer. Act 2. Escalation and the turning point. The complaints piled up: brown spots on the lawn, a basketball hoop, even my porch furniture. At the HOA meeting, she used the microphone as her stage, humiliating me in front of everyone. Some people can't even keep their trash can standing upright. What does that say about their respect for community standards? My stomach burned. Everyone knew she meant me. And you know what the worst part was? Nobody spoke up. Neighbors who whispered sympathy in private stayed silent in public. That night over dinner, my daughter Sophie asked, "Why don't you just call the police?" Erica sighed before I could answer. "Because it's not criminal, sweetheart. They'd just say it's an HOA matter." Jonah slammed his fork down. Then what's the point of rules if nobody helps when she breaks them? And I didn't have an answer. I sat there staring at my plate, feeling powerless in my own home. For the first time, I thought maybe she's right. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe we should just sell and leave. That was my lowest point. I hated the thought that my kids were watching me lose, watching me fold to a bully with a clipboard. But Erica grabbed my hand and whispered, "If you quit, they'll always remember their dad let someone push him around in his own neighborhood." That flipped a switch. I realized I couldn't win by arguing in letters or playing her HOA games. I needed proof. I needed something she wouldn't see coming. So I started digging through online forums, homeowners fighting tyrant HOA presidents. The advice was always the same: cameras, documentation, persistence. Then I founded a DIY guide where a guy reinforced his trash can with steel to keep raccoons out. And I thought, what if I did the same but for a very different predator? The plan formed instantly. I went to the hardware store in Dallas, bought steel tubing, heavy brackets, bolts, picked up a brand new city-issued trash can. Then I spent nights in my garage drilling, cutting, building a steel skeleton inside that flimsy green plastic shell. On the outside, it looked like any other bin. Inside, it was a tank. When Sophie wandered in one morning and saw me tightening bolts, she rubbed her eyes and asked, "Dad, what are you doing?" "Making sure our trash can doesn't fall over again." She tilted her head. "She's going to be mad, isn't she?" I smiled, brushing the dust off my hands. Sometimes bullies need a lesson. And just to be safe, I mounted a motion-activated camera on my porch aimed perfectly at the curb. Everything was ready, and Thursday was coming. Act 3. The showdown. That Thursday, I parked down the street pretending to check my phone, heart pounding like I was about to rob a bank. At 8:15 sharp, Marlene's silver sedan rolled back just like clockwork. She didn't slow down, didn't glance at the curb. Her bumper lined up with my ordinary bin. Clang. The sound of steel meeting fiberglass rang through the cul-de-sac. Her car jolted rear end, lifting for a split second before settling. The bin didn't budge. I laughed out loud in my car, replaying the footage on my phone. Her face, eyes wide behind those oversized sunglasses, mouth open in shock, was priceless. For the first time in months, I felt the power shift. The next week, she tried again, but harder. She turned her wheel, clipped the bin deliberately. Bang. A chunk of her bumper snapped loose, dangling like a broken tooth. I leaned casually against my truck, phone in hand, and called out, "You all right over there, Marlene?" She stormed out of her car, pointing at my bin. "Your trash can damaged my vehicle. I'm filing a complaint with the HOA." I raised an eyebrow. "Funny. I thought your vehicle damaged my trash can. Twice. And just so you know, I've got both incidents on camera crystal clear." Her lips trembled. For once, she had no comeback. A couple neighbors peeked through blinds. Peter even stepped out on his porch sipping coffee like it was the best show in town. That was the moment I knew the spell she held over the block was breaking. But Marlene wasn't done. At the next HOA meeting, she strutted to the podium, voice sharp as ever. She accused me of creating a dangerous condition with a reinforced bin, claimed I was endangering residents, lowering property values. Then I stood up, calmly, pulled out my phone, and played the footage. Her sedan hitting the bin, her bumper snapping, her face twisting with rage. Silence filled the room. The board shifted uncomfortably. For the first time, she wasn't in control. She sputtered, "This is taken out of context." But nobody bought it. Even Greg, one of her loyal lapdogs, avoided her eyes. Right there in that fluorescent-lit HOA meeting room, the queen of the cul-de-sac lost her crown. Ending. And I didn't celebrate. I didn't cheer. I just walked out knowing that for once she couldn't bully her way out of the truth. That was the day Marlene's power crumbled.